How you doing there? Reverend C.S. Millender II, back for another resounding round of reading of my illustrious work, the Omnavarian Codex, Antichrist Revealed. Now, in this video, we're going to go ahead and do a dramatic read of chapter number 2, entitled My Creation. But before we do that, let's scoot on back a little bit and review what we learned in chapter number 1. Now, in chapter number 1, what we kind of see is this dramatic war play out between the angels, the Omna, and God. Largely due to the angels' jealousy of the Omna and all that they were given and all the favor that God had bestowed upon them. But here's the thing the angels neglected to understand. They didn't do what the Omna did do to earn that, and to earn all his love and earn all his favor. They didn't do all the work, yet they wanted all the rewards. Now, we see this play out all the time. This idea that, oh, somebody else got something, I want it to. I hate to sound like Tyra Banks there, but you didn't do what I did. You don't know what I went through. You don't understand what I understand you, Tyra. I get you. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, the Omna, God put all his love, all his trust in these beings to create everything, including the angels. And then the angels saw the reward that was delivered to them. And they said, well, why do they get that and not me? They didn't look at the work that was required to get to that point. They just looked at the word, at what it is. Now, being that I've been around quite a few, some would call extremely wealthy individuals, I serve with a royal family. I have worked with multiple members of royal families throughout the world. I've worked with presidents and ambassadors and all sorts of things. So I've heard all sorts of stories. And in some cases, surely inherited something. In other cases, however, they earned it. They didn't start with much, and they went through all kinds of heck to get where they got. Yet every single one of those individuals had people who simply just wanted to snatch away what they had. You see, I have a sister. You know, she just wouldn't be bothered to get off her behind. The only thing she could do was lay on her back and have some kids. And because of that, she gained some sympathy. So much sympathy that I allowed her to use a house that is rightfully mine for rental income for the last 12 years. Even so doing, while I struggled and I worked my butt off, learning the whole way, and gained everything that I had, and I still was managing to make more money than her and do better than her. So she sought to strip it all away. She slandered my name, ruined my reputation, had me arrested by lying to the police, robbed my home multiple times, had me violently beaten, encouraged her son to murder me. She did so very much to try to drag me down just because I am better than her. That is a unequivocal fact that she herself proved to me. And I know that because I would never do the horrid things that she had done. Not to me, to anybody. Especially the one who had given her. People always seem to think they know who I am and my true intentions for this world. The fact that I'm referred to as the Antichrist has some believing that I'm simply opposed to the principles of God. And that, I can tell you, is simply not the case. Actually, at this moment in time, my intentions are right on par with God's, as the survival of the human race is integral to both His and my plans. To understand who I am, you really just need to think for a moment. When God created the Omna, he tasked them to undertake the largest construction project of all time. Well, anyone who's ever built so much as a house knows that before you lay the first brick, you take out an insurance policy to ensure the work will never be completely undone. That is precisely what I am. Before the Omna built heaven, or even the first of the angels, they created me to ensure that their work could never be fully undone. I was, and still am, a concept of my purest form, a law of nature. Mikhail Luminov called me the law of conservation of mass. I was to watch over the whole of creation, to ensure that nothing that the Omna created could ever be truly destroyed. The problem with this is that the human race was not created from there by the Omna, but rather from the only three incarnations that God himself created: the Omna, the Figuril, and Eden. As this was the case, your God never suspected that I might take an interest in such a race. However, what went largely unbeknownst to your God was that humanity, while being made from the elements of God himself, was indeed my creation as well. While the Omna enjoyed the kingdom of Eden, I was the only one among them that was not Omna, yet permitted to join in on all their pleasures. I danced, sang, and laughed with them all, and they honored me greatly, for I was the protector of all they had built. One of the greatest pleasures of the Omna was to play with the animals of Eden. A trait that was passed on to humanity. But among all the animals, they found the jackal to be the most hilarious and loved its jovial company. I can't count how many nights we have spent just playing with the jackals as we traded stories. Oh, those were indeed good times, when all was well with the world, and nothing could threaten us. On the day the angels came crashing in, the guardian of the garden honor looked upon the happenings and knew instantly that this would not end in his favor. He and I hid within a cave as the cries of the honor rang out. When the last of his subjects was slaughtered, he turned to me and said, "This world was made for us, and now I gift it to you. You are the last hope of creation. Without the Omna, nothing more can be created. But so long as you are, nothing we've created will truly be destroyed." With that, he placed his hand upon my head and changed my form into that of a jackal, and said, "In this form, you will arouse no suspicion. Now run and save yourself. I must now go join my brethren." With those last words, my king marched right up to Paimon, snatched the sword from his hands, and ran himself through. As I watched the sombering act of my king's sacrifice, I committed the treasonous act of refusing his last request to allow him to be destroyed. I used what bit of power I could in my new form and refused the pure destructive power of the Figuril to take hold, leaving him as the pile of ash that was used by Michael to create all of you. A foolish act, I know, as if the angels had noticed, they would surely have hunted me down to be destroyed as well. Yet, and still, I loved the Omna in a profound manner that few of you may ever understand, And even though it could have meant the end of all that had ever been, or ever could be, I would surely do it again if given the chance. Fortunately, with the presumed death of the Omna, none of the angels had noticed that the figure was still burning, and that the ash had landed upon Eden. They were simply too overcome with joy. At least until they were banished by the order of the throne. It was from the ash of the guardian of the garden Omna that Michael was able to craft humanity. So you see, you are as much my creation as God's. And indeed, the only creation that both God and I can claim ownership of. The problem is that God wanted his original creations to return, while I, as your creator, desired for you to continue on your path. Oh, my love for the Omna will never fade. Over time, I have come to understand all of which you are capable of, and furthermore, that all things must change. A concept you have come to call evolution. It was the Omna that tried to teach me about evolution eons ago. They said for anything to exist, it must be able to adapt on its own. A tiny change here and there didn't seem like much of a big deal to me then, but to be able to observe the majesty of their creations changing shapes and forms in a truly miraculous way over an indeterminable period of time, well, it's indescribable. You have no idea what it's like to see a giant lizard turn into a tiny bird, and know that you used to sing, dance, and play with the beings that made it possible. While my pervading graciousness towards my former host might make you begin to wonder just why I would not be in favor of their reimagines, the answer is quite simple. The Omna knew that for everything, there is a season. Even for them. And indeed, even for you. The Omna themselves created this truth, and as such, I do not believe that they would be in favor of their reemergence into existence. Of course, I am no Omna. Like all other beings in the universe, I am simply one of their children. I'm afraid that much of the knowledge and understanding of the Omna is lost to us today. I have spent a great deal of time remembering the lessons that they once taught me. And as I begin to work them out, I do my best to silently spread the knowledge among your people. Although, I suppose since when we last left off, I was still a jackal, you might be wondering just how I managed this feat. Well, I should say how I came into my present form is quite a tale indeed. But I suppose for now, it's best that I stop, so you have time to truly take in all that I have just told you.